Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? I don't know if that bit initially caught up, so I'm just going to wait until I see someone doing a comment because I don't know whether or not this has worked in terms of launching the stream. I think it has. It should have done. If it didn't, then I'm going to be really, really sad. But Leeds United are travelling over to play against Hull City tomorrow. It might be today when you're watching this, but I've got genuinely no idea. And all simultaneously happening at once. Hull are looking to revive a very, very tough season for them. Leeds United are on the best form in the Championship at the moment on goal difference currently. I think we've got 11 points as of Burnley in our last 5 matches. And the important question is, who is going to come out on top? I'm going to talk through everything that I can possibly think of in the stream. So you've got how Hull have been playing, their recent form, their sort of style of play, how Leeds have been doing, predicted lineup, and then I'll get to a predicted score and I'll be bouncing off the chat whilst we go. So let's just have a nice little bit of conversation going, I guess. That would be nice. But first, before I get into all of that, it is transfer season once more, and I'll be doing a bunch more videos than I have been over the past couple of months because there's more news to discuss. There's more sort of stories that I like to dive into. Basically, the way I like to do my videos is if I see a big overarching topic, I want to go, cool, I'll have a conversation about that, and then I'll dive in on it. And I'll be doing a lot more of that this month, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Hello, Marcus. I'm doing pretty well. Hope you're also doing good. But we got to start where we normally do. We are Leeds fans. We're not always going to know how the other side tend to play, what they like to do, all that sort of stuff. And we got to start by talking about how Hull perform. Now, on the face of it, you would look at it and say Hull are absolutely dreadful. After all, in their 13 matches at home, they only have 11 points this season, which is a shocking return. It's genuinely stanky. Kind of really bad. If you are a Hull fan right now, you're going, we're not in a very good situation at the minute. And that is absolutely true. But you've also got to look at the way that they specifically play and find reasons for this so we can look to take advantage of it. Why are they struggling at home? Well, typically, when a club is playing as the home side, they have a little bit of a tendency to say, okay, we will do what we can to control the match because home fans like to see that. If you are a fan and playing at home, you don't want to see your team ceding control of the ball and saying, look, you can define what happens in this match, because that's a miserable way of playing and watching football. And thankfully, Hull tend to have the majority of the ball, which is something that we can really, really pay attention to because they only have 2 wins in their 17 matches this season when they have had more possession than the other side. This is one of those games where normally I like to think Leeds will have all of the ball and it'll be great, and no one will cause us problems because we've got possession throughout the entire match. This is luckily one of those games where the other side, when they have possession, are in deep, deep trouble because they are a side that is defensively not ideal. If you look at Leeds United's released players from the past few years, you'll see the likes of Cody Drameh in there. And Hull play Cody Drameh very, very consistently. And we learned that he is not the best of right backs or left backs, but they've also got Louis Coyle, another player that we just let go because he wasn't quite good enough for our level. So I'm very confident on that front. I'll be completely honest with you, because when they have possession of the ball, their defensive structure is not ideal. However, their underlying numbers are significantly better than everything says they should be, specifically because they create plenty of chances, but they do score fewer goals than expected. I'm going to very, very quickly drag up FBref. I have gotten to my PC a couple of minutes ago, so I've not got all of my tabs and stuff available right now. Sorry about that. Normally, I'm significantly more organised than this, but it's not the case today. My apologies. Quick look at the English Championship. On this one, Mark, I will get to that towards the end. I've got a bunch of banners and stuff ready, so I can hop into that when it pops up. And that would give away my predicted lineup, and I don't want to be doing that yet because top secret things. But they do create plenty of chances. In terms of chances created this season, for example, they have created enough opportunities to score 29 goals. They have scored 22. If they score those 7 goals, they're probably not in the relegation zone. So their finishing is shocking at the minute. which is a pretty big problem for a side that is just loitering down there. In addition to that, defensively, they're sort of average. They have conceded 31 and a bit expected goals, which is admittedly quite a lot. Like, we have conceded 16 and a half. Admittedly, they're very different sort of tiers, but they're average for the league. The issue is they're conceding more than they should, which is telling of the finishing against them, and the goalkeeping from their keeper is not going to be ideal. In terms of system that they're going to play in, it looks like they fairly commonly play in a 4-3-3, especially when they're against a 4-2-3-1. Ideally looking to outnumber other sides in midfield, but I genuinely feel like we'll be completely fine on that front because we know what our midfielders are capable of. They are very, very capable players. Tanaka, Rothwell, I feel would not have a problem against that whole midfield trio. If they do play in that system, they can also sometimes do 4-1-4-1, they can do 4-2-3-1 themselves. They're a bit all over the place. They don't have a specific system that they use, but in general, 4 at the back, wingers, striker, something happens with the midfielders. Then we get on to their recent form, because thank you very much, Godfrey. Happy New Year to you too. We get onto the recent Hull form, which is very sort of interesting to look at because Hull were languishing for a significant part of the season. They had played, going to do a little bit of maths right now, 21 games, we're down on 16 points. Screwed completely. But to be fair to them, in their last 5 matches, they got 2 wins, they got 3 losses. That's still not good. But to be completely clear, that's as many wins as Sheffield United have gotten in their last 5 matches. It's the same sort of return as Watford have gotten. So it's sort of average-ish. They're 16th in the form table at the minute. And a key part of that is being very, very, very solid. Very, very firm, very hard to play against. They don't create much themselves recently. Very specifically, very recently, because they've conceded only 5 goals in those 5 matches and scored only 4. So it's not going to be an open, fun, wild game of football, I don't think. Happy New Year to you too, Mark. It's going to be sort of grindy, grungy stuff, unless the ground are willing to sort of say, okay, Hull, get it together, let's try and attack them. I don't think they will. I think Hull will be very much sort of passive. I've forgotten the name of Hull's ground. I'll be completely honest with you. Why is my brain saying the Casey Stadium? Hull City Stadium. It'll tell me in a moment. Thank you, Google. The MKM Stadium. Ugh. Don't like that name. Did it used to be the Casey Stadium? Or is that the rugby one? I can't remember. But in terms of their form, they are definitely improving recently, and they will look to continue that on today. It was the KC, then it became the KCOM, now it's the MKM. Fantastic. But whilst we're looking at their recent form, simultaneously, there will inevitably be conversation about our away form. Because this is the one where lots and lots of people get concerned. Lots of people say, well, away from home, we've been pretty bad recently. Having a look deeper into it, they had played at Boothbury Park. I don't see it being called Boothroyd Crescent. My apologies. But this is going to be a very, very quick detour because I don't think this conversation is worth having anymore. Looking at our away performances, we are now the 3rd best away side in the league. This isn't just in the last 3 matches, in the last 5 matches. This is just, we're the 3rd best away side in the league. It's true for the last 5 games, for the last 10 games, and for the last every single away match this season. We are genuinely a decent away side. It just looks like there is a bigger gap because away from home, you don't score as many points as you do at home. And our home performances have been so good that we're looking at a fairly big gulf. We're decent away. That's the conversation. Done. That'll do it. Anyway, now we've got to get onto Leeds United selection because we've talked a bit about Hull, we talked a bit about our recent away form, which I don't think is worthy of the conversation. We need to talk about our own squad, and you sort of have to start with the injury issues. Stuff that happened in the midweek match, which was on Wednesday. Thank you very much, wall calendar. We saw Jayden Bogle come off with a dead leg. It looked like a pretty nasty one. He was down for a very, very long time. It wasn't one of those, oh, I've got a dead leg, I'll limp on throughout the rest of the match. It was, he got hit and he was down for a good 4 or 5 minutes. Not a good situation to be in if you're Jayden Bogle. And for me, that says there's a likelihood that he's not going to be available, because you don't want to take that risk. You don't want to say, cool, we need to use a sub in the 15th minute because Bogle isn't okay. You don't risk that, in my opinion. In addition to that, you saw Sam Byram come off relatively early in that match, but apparently that was something to do with him having a cold, being ill, and genuinely struggling to breathe because he was all clogged up. That's the sort of thing that could feasibly be okay for the weekend's matches, but we also have to consider the other ongoing injury cases, particularly Junior Firpo. Not available, hasn't been available for a while. You get used to it. And Gruev, but they're not really worthy of conversation right now because we knew they wouldn't be around. So, that brings me to our Leeds United predicted lineup, or at least who I predict to be in the Leeds United lineup for this match. And I will deal with the conversations that are inevitably going to come immediately after I run through it. But we're going to start with Ilham Millier. Probably don't play Darlow. Let's be honest here. Probably don't play Cairns. Darlow is fine. Not Darlow. Millier is fine. Will be okay. He wasn't at fault for the goal against Blackburn because I felt that was more of a severe defensive problem. If it's ping-ponging around the box, really hard to blame a goalkeeper. Backline in front of him, going Byram, Rodon, Strauch, and Voba. I'll explain that one in a minute. Tanaka and Rothwell in the midfield roles for me, just because Rothwell brings that little bit more dynamism, that little bit more movement up and down the pitch. Tanaka, I think, is still a very, very solid defensive option. A line in front that goes Ramazani on the left, Aronson in the middle, and James on the right-hand side, just because we know that Solomon has played a hell of a lot of minutes. A little bit of me thinks that Solomon coming off might have been for rotation's sake, but I'm not 100% sure. Aronson has also played a lot of football. We don't have a number 10 in yet, so we'll see how that one goes. And up top, I have gone with Joel Piroux, just because this sort of seems like the match where he'll actually get chances. The issue with him playing against Blackburn is they were defensively very good, incredibly good. And that meant we couldn't create chances through the middle because they constantly marked Aronson, they constantly marked Piroux, and they tried to stop the ball going through the middle of the park because they knew that Piroux doesn't tend to go anywhere north of the penalty spot when finishing chances, which meant that we needed to go out wide, cut the ball back, and there was no one there. But that happens sometimes, and I feel like Hull aren't necessarily in a better position to be doing that. So, we got the inevitable question that everyone's going to be asking right now. What about Schmidt? Now, there's a few little theories going on at the minute around the Isaac Schmidt thing. A couple of bits and bobs that I've heard, but I don't want to sort of chat nonsense if it's wrong, so I'm just going to verify that before I do actually talk about stuff. But there's a few little theories going around. Issues in training are a potential thing because, let's be honest, we're not the ones that watch him train every single day. If there is a potential attitude problem or he's not at the level in training, he has to earn his way into the team rather than being told, well, we might as well, let's give you a go. Which is admittedly not what fans want to see, but then again, we're not seeing behind the scenes. In addition to that, there's perhaps a struggle to match the system. We've seen that every single time he comes in, he basically plays as a winger. Is there a potential issue with the way that he plays in that defensive role? Maybe. And in addition to that, ideally, it's not a case of personal issues because I think we need to be better than that. If we want to get promoted, we need to use the actual talent that is in the squad rather than have these petty little kerfuffles and shuffles and malarkeys, which would be bad. I think that we are beyond that. I think it's going to be a case of maybe potential training issues. Maybe he's not quite at the level, but who knows? Hard to say. But with all that in mind, knowing that we will be playing in that 4-2-3-1, knowing the players that we might have on the pitch, I'm going to make a couple of predictions. And based on the fact that Hull are not the worst side recently, in addition to the fact that we away from home don't tend to pile on the goals, it's not going to be as comfy as some people think. It's not going to be the 4-0, 5-0 that everyone seems to predict every single match because that just doesn't tend to happen. However, whilst they are reasonably good defensively recently, I think we just need to weigh enough pressure on them and we'll be decently okay. If we are able to eliminate those stupid errors, I'm very, very confident because, again, the goal that we conceded against Blackburn was another silly error because we switched off because we just scored a goal. No one was back in the mindset to defend the corner, so we had a problem. I think if we eliminate problems like that, get the mentality in the right place, we will actually win important matches like this. but we've got to get to that place first. Leeds should win this. And whilst my head is saying 2-0, my heart is saying 3-0. I want us to go at it and beat them properly, but as long as we get the 3 points, I am happy. I'd rather we not draw, to be completely honest. I don't see us losing, but I can see us winning fairly nicely. But after all that, I kind of want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the chat. We'll have a little bit of a natter, a little bit of a conversation. We'll go for a little bit longer. Matthew P, I have discussed it, but basically I would predict Melier, Byram, Rodon, Strauch, Voba, Tanaka, Rothwell, Ramazani, Aronson, James with Piru playing up top is my approximate guess. Because a little bit of rotation. The question over Isaac Schmidt, I don't want to be predicting him to start if we have no evidence to say that he will start. That's the general sort of direction that I'm going. Godfrey has also predicted a 2-0 to Leeds, which is absolutely fair enough. Marcus is backing Tanaka to score in every match until he does, which, honestly, fair enough. Eventually he will, and it will be a glorious day. He will prove himself as worthy of the Ballon d'Or. But for now, that's not yet happened. So it'll come eventually, I'm sure. There's no way he just doesn't score. Where were we? Cool. Farke never substantially changed formation, but I'd switch to a 4-4-2 to give a rest to Ambrinson and mess up Hull's prep against us. We have strikers and wide midfielders and defenders to pull it off. That's true, but I think to do that, you need to make a lot of people angry. And the people that you make angry, in my opinion, would be the ones that don't want to see. I can't say it out loud. I can't say it out loud. I'm not allowed. It'd be the people that don't want to see a certain footballer. But if I say it out loud, the comment section will get really angry at me. Because I think to play in a 4-4-2, to do genuinely properly effectively, kind of need that name. Because you need someone that is experienced at playing the number 9 role alongside Piru, who doesn't do the more advanced number 9 thing. And I think as a balanced pair, those two work really, really well. But I also think a lot of people will be very angry at that, because what I don't want to see in that specific situation, I'm going to stop talking for a moment just because it is going to run an ad in a moment. I'm going to tell you how to get rid of it. Just click on it, swipe back, and it'll bring you right back here. It means that I get paid a bit more by YouTube. YouTube gets paid a bit more by the company, and the company is the one that just has to deal with it and pay a little bit more money. If you fancy as well, let me know what ad runs. I'm always very, very, very curious. It's great. Wait. Anyway, yeah, I think if you're looking at a front two, you kind of need to include him, because he is the one person in the side that has consistently played as a number 9, whereas Matteo has been in and out and in and out and in and out, hasn't really ever played in a front two or led the line that consistently. I think those two, and then you see what happens. I wouldn't mind a Piru Bamford pairing, to be completely honest with you. And I think a lot of people's issues with Bamford aren't around his actual quality, they're around his injury record. Because again, he scored our most goals per 90 of anyone last season, including Somerville. I think a lot of people are more affected by when injuries happen and go, he's done. And that's completely understandable. I would rather someone that is there constantly. But I think whilst we have him this season, because I do think he leaves in the summer, we might as well make use. That's where I'm sitting on it, basically. And I did. Ha 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 ha. You're also not live. It's kind of hard to say, though, isn't it? Because we are ultimately judging someone on no starts and not many minutes. I'm trying to open the minute stats for us. Yeah, you're trying to judge someone on 130 minutes of football. And I feel like that's kind of tough to do. I think Harrogate will be the first actual big test of where he's at the minute. Just because, yeah. You're going to punk Wayne. It's fair enough, I get it. This is another good point. He who must not be named does tend to excel right now, because he came into the side last year and then we won a significant amount of matches on the bounce. I don't think we lost for 14 or something stupid like that. Wild. Let's have a quick look. Who would you say is your favourite player, and who do you think the best player is in our team? Oh, are we going all-time or current? Because I think they're different answers. And the best player in our team... is a tough one. Best, I might say Tanaka. Purely because he's such a sort of slick, smooth kind of guy. Dan James is also a shout, to be fair. I did forget about Dan James, which is bad because I'm currently in the process of recording my Leeds United Community Awards with like 4 recordings done already. And Dan James has been mentioned in one. And I think to have forgotten about him is very, very silly from me. In terms of favourite, I might also go for Tanaka, but that's because I've got the very, very nice memory of at the end of the last transfer window when we were doing the Strauch is also worth a mention, to be completely fair, yeah. But at the end of the last transfer window when I was pushing for 5,000 subscribers and we did the stream where we watched Tanaka's plane come in from, might have been Dusseldorf, that's where I ticked over 5,000 subscribers, and that felt really, really cool. So I've got a little bit of a sort of good vibe with Tanaka on that one. All time, I would probably go Rafinha. But yeah, we've got a bunch of Rodon favourites, which is completely fair. I think he will against Harrogate. Against Harrogate is going to be a very different side. In fact, right, I'm going to predict right now what our team is against Harrogate. And I want someone to write a word in the chat for me to have to prove that it is definitely that prediction that I'm doing. So I want to see how many of the 11 I get right here. This might take a moment. Okay, so split that there, split that there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all sealed envelope on it. And my preview for the Harrogate match, I'm going to see if I still agree with it. Pigeon, got to be Pigeon. Okay, we'll go with Pigeon. That's fine. He has got back to his best. I really do like Joe Rodon. He's a top quality kind of guy for the Championship. And he seems like a good dude as well, to be fair. Oh, got a bit of moist in there as well. I'm going to go Pigeon. Who else would I put in there? You. And then I would probably go... because I don't think we'd want to lose it. So it's going to be about making the right choices, I think. And doing a little bit of rotation without over-rotating. Cool, that is my prediction. And you know what? I'm going to do a little bit of a cheeky little thing here. And I'm going to say you're going to have to wait to find out what that predicted 11 is. You're going to have to wait till the future one. You're going to have to find out. That's the fun part. You'll have to see. Let's get this boy sealed up. I've got a candle as well. I'm going to wax seal it. That's going to be cool. Where did I put the matches? Where did I put the matches? And then I will label it as like Harrogate PL, wasn't it? No, I won't, because... All right, make sure that matches. Pigeon. Cool. And then I'm going to get the candle burning away, and then I will wax seal this motherfucker. Good. I want to see Crew, Chambers, and Schmidt start against Harrogate. I mean, they're not a bad set of players, to be fair. But I'm not going to tell you whether or not I've put them in my predicted lineup. So ha 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 ha. Gelhardt won't be here by then. I mean, he might. That's the thing. We would need to get someone in instead. Come on, Candle. Come on, Candle. You can do it. There we go. I do love a good, nice smelling candle. This one, mango and pineapple. I know, it's great. So a little bit of wax pop up, and then we'll put it on the pigeon predicting, which would be nice. You have to be careful not to start too many inexperienced players. That's the thing. I think we've got a very, very strong second 11 that we can rely on, which is why I'm feeling kind of good about it. Have I been playing FM recently? I have not had a chance to be playing FM recently. I am considering doing something like a Manager Mondays series or something, so I'm sort of holding myself to doing them. But it's kind of hard to commit to that, you know? In fact, I'll run it as a poll. It's also not necessarily likely to happen during the transfer window, purely because I kind of need to do transfery stuff, because if you don't do transfery stuff during the transfer window as a creator, you fall behind fast. So I'm going to sort of lean into doing that a little bit more. I love that it's currently at many, many people being like, yes, well, more Football Manager streams. At the same time, you got to promise to watch, because that's where the struggle is. Would you keep any of our loan players for next season? If we could, yes. Assuming that we are able to permanently sign all of the players that we currently have in on loan, I would take Manor Solomon every day of the week. Purely because he's a very good player. And I think he's genuinely of Premier League standard. It's just an issue within the past he's had injuries. But it'd be very expensive for us to do that, I feel. I will link with anyone. We'll link with a few different players. I'm going to have a quick check of news now just to see sort of where that vibe is. You think the Harrogate game could involve a new signing? I think it's a little bit too early for that. I would like it, but I don't think we'll have a new signing done by that point. I'm feeling kind of confident. I'll give it another minute for the More FM streams poll to happen. And whilst you're bouncing around the chat and that sort of area of the screen down here-ish, might be over here, depends on what sort of YouTube view you've got going on. Just pop a like on the stream. That'd be appreciated. Helps it get pushed out in the right direction, especially when because I've got half an idea of what I'm going to do is this live stream. I'm going to clip down once the live stream is done, take a chunk out of it. Because I've noticed there's some weird little algorithm thing that I might want to try having a bit of a mess with. So that could be fun. 10 million for Solomon according to the commentator against Blackburn. That feels unlikely. That's a weird one. What's this silly story? Oh, people are just unhappy about PSR. Okay. Burnley have already signed 2 players. Yes, you can say that Burnley have already signed 2 players. One of them is Ashley Barnes, who I have been talking to many a Norwich fan that I know. And almost all of them are like, guys, stay quiet because they might give him back, but they want promotion, don't they? Burnley want to get promoted and they've signed Ashley Barnes. That's the sort of conversation I've been hearing. Like, Barnes is very much on the brink of retiring. And it feels like one of those situations where it's like, okay, if we bring him in for a feel-good glory run, that won't do any harm, will it? That seems like the sort of situation that's going on with that one. Ashley Barnes is not the sort of player that you necessarily want if you're in Burnley's situation. Who else have Burnley signed? And is there anyone that is actually good? Plymouth have done a decent bit of business. They signed one of the Baidus, which is pretty good. They've just signed him because it's him and he's done well in the past. Yeah, but it'd be like if we were to sign Alioski right now. And it's like, yeah, sure, he was nice for us in the past and was in the category of he's a dickhead, but he's our dickhead. But that doesn't mean that he's good now. which is why I feel like that's a pretty big mistake for Burnley to make. Let's have a look. Current season transfers for Burnley. Give me the detailed numbers as well so I can see dates. I can't see dates. Fantastic. Thank you so much for that one. Is it Oliver Son? Seems right. Maybe. But either way, on this one, I've got genuinely no idea. I think if he does have his loan terminated by Everton, we'll just look for a move elsewhere again. We will not want to keep him because that would be toxic. That would be a bad place for us to be. Tell me million isn't a lot these days, but he needs to have a good run injury-free. Yeah, I think he's on that good run as well. Because as we all know, like when you're coming back from injury is the time you're most likely to get injured. He's not been injured for a while. And that makes me feel fairly confident on that one. Sign that left back as well. Wait, left back. Oliver Son is a right back if it's that guy. Honestly, I've got no idea. But I'm not super spooked by Burnley signing a left back or a right back, to be honest with you. Especially since what they need to do is they need to score more because they are the incredibly boring side that we know is very good at the defensive stuff. And if their idea of to score more is Ashley Barnes, you don't really want to be in that situation if you're them, do you? It's not a good spot to be in. But yeah. On this 10 million for Solomon, we should try and sign. I could see that. Feeling being correct wasn't, I know Shakhtar were annoyed, but I do feel like if we're able to get him for 10 million, that is a very, very good deal in the current football market. Especially considering having a quick look. Yeah, Burnley signed Dara O'Shea from Ipswich for 14 million euros in the last transfer window. So I feel like Manor Solomon for 10 is a genuine bargain. I wonder if someone comes in for non-toe. That's genuinely a maybe and would make things very interesting. We've also got weird stuff like exclusive. Leeds United ready to launch bid for £8 million Coventry City star. That feels like that's going to be a little bit of nothing. I'm going to have a little bit of a look at that, but I don't feel like that's very likely. Why would we put in a bid for Ben Sheaf? Is he a 10? I don't know. Is he 23 chances created in 18 matches is bad. I wouldn't be a fan of that if we do go for Ben Sheaf. You need to actually do something. No, I think we'll look at a 10. We'll look at a right back. I don't know what else is going to go on, but Lee Miller ACL, Russworth, who I like, has an ankle injury and Brighton might terminate the loan. Ooh. Yeah, I think an injured Hull would be very nice for us right now. I don't like to wish injuries on teams, but anything that could make this match a little bit simpler for us would be massively appreciated, obviously. But yeah, what I'm going to do after I end this poll, because that's a good few people wanting more FM streams, so I might do that, is I'm going to ask your predicted result for tomorrow, question mark. Is it going to be a Leeds win? Is it going to be a draw? Or is it going to be a Hull win? I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling okay on the Leeds win, I'll be honest with you. Need a striker who scores goals and can run as period can't run. I think that's going to be an issue for summer. Because the problem that you bump into if you try and sign someone permanently right now, if you're Leeds, is... I don't know how to phrase it. Is a permanent signing is someone that is willing to come and play in the Championship and, in theory, get stuck in the Championship for a bit. Because there is no guarantee that we go up. I think we will. Without a doubt, I think Leeds are going up. But from an outsider's perspective, if you are a player who is looking for a move and you're of a Premier League standard, you're probably looking at a Premier League club right now rather than a probably Premier League club because you don't want to land in the Championship. Which is why the big business that I want us to do in this coming window is, yeah, if we can get an Elvedi done, that'd be fantastic. But realistically, I think you're more looking at loans. And then you're fixing the bigger problems, like Peru can't both run and finish when promotion comes, because it feels like a more financially viable way of approaching it, if that makes sense. To warn you again, it's doing the ad thing, because I think I've got it set to, it runs ads itself, but it seems to have decided that 18 minutes is fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the run ad button. All you have to do, again, is click on the ad, swipe back, and it'll bring you right back here. Saves you a little bit of time, and as I've mentioned, it just charges the advertiser a little bit more. So it doesn't affect you negatively in any way, really, aside from the fact that you've just got to get back real quick. But I won't talk about anything until you guys have told me what sort of ads have popped up. So I'm going to do that now, and then, yeah. And shout questions at me whilst you do so. That'd be appreciated. So, one moment. And then for the people that don't get ads, which I'm still talking to right now, how are we going? How's our day been? I'm hoping very, very well. Once the people with ads have come back and told me that their ads have run, then we'll get back into the main bit of conversation. But for now, we're just gonna have a little bit of a converse, which I think is gonna be quite nice. But if it's a choice between Leeds and a team in the Premier League that could get relegated, what's the best option? It depends on the player, I would say. Cookware? What specific cookware? Pizza? Oh, don't say pizza. No, I want pizza, you bastard. No, not as for the whole stream, and I don't know why. Have you got YouTube Premium? Because that could be it. Or an ad blocker. That would equally do it. Pans. I know, but like what brand of pans, you know? Is it like Hexclad? Is it anything fancy? We've already signed cover. I don't think you should pad the squad out with players who won't play. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I think if we want to sign anyone right now, we want to sign someone that improves us rather than someone that is going to just wait on the bench. Okay, that's interesting. I'm learning things about the algorithm now, which is quite good. I'm going to keep an eye on that because I'm kind of curious. You skip the ad. Oh, how dare you? I mean, that's fair enough. I get it. But that depends on the kind of player. Because if you've got someone that is genuinely motivated by competition stuff, sure, they might come to Leeds. But at the same time, we can't throw the same wages at players that current Premier League sides can. Because they've got way looser FFP, their revenues are way higher than ours. And it's tough, I guess. I wouldn't mind Ben Doak if we got promoted. Ben Doak's a maybe. I think you'd need to see the second half of this season. Because he's also one of those players that's a little bit scary, you know? Like, he's done reasonably well, but I don't know. You'd want some certainty, and I think the wings is the position where we least need to fix things at the minute, you know? Yes, Liverpool have rejected from Ipswich and Palace, I want to say. But yeah, is going self-employed worth it? Right. Okay. So I'm going to explain this as the sort of my route into being self-employed. So I initially didn't plan on being self-employed. I was working for a copywriting company, which is just write stuff for companies that can't be bothered doing it themselves, called Copify. I was doing that as an employee, which was great. Immediately after, after a while, they ended up not doing so great. So they were like, okay, we can save a bit of money by getting you on as contractors, which is why I became self-employed despite working for one employer. Sorry, contractee, I guess. Which was, again, okay, because it still was fairly consistent in terms of like amount of work and stuff. And then AI happened. So they changed to writing a lot of their stuff using artificial intelligence. The thing with artificial intelligence, and this is a big spoiler, artificial intelligence is stupid and does not tend to write as well as people do. which meant that I'm just going to do a quick search now, actually. If I search for the company name now, I can't remember if I mentioned, so I'm not going to mention it again. It's been replaced by an identical company. But yeah, that company then proceeded to do mostly AI stuff, which meant that suddenly I didn't have anything to write, which put me into a little bit of panic mode. And then I ended up working for The Zone, which is great, as a freelance sort of contractor kind of thing. But that is a deliberate, I knew that I was going to be freelance going into that. And then I can additionally do YouTube on top of it, which is nice. I say that. Currently, the channel don't make a profit because StreamYard costs money to do, Canva costs money to do for all the thumbnails and stuff. So if anyone would like to become a channel member, that would be much appreciated. Yeah, that's the general gist. Self-employed is worth it-ish. Oh, that's not accounting for the fact that I need to pay an accountant to do my taxes as well. Yeah, it's worth it if you do it on purpose and have a plan. The way that I did it turned out to be worth it, but I would have much rather done so on purpose rather than have an employer go, by the way, you're self-employed now, which was great. But yeah, that's the general gist. Skynet, well, like that. Skynet is currently too stupid to understand. So it's fine. AI has not come on far enough quite yet. Looking to go self-employed, not worked for over a year, 6 or 7 more rubbish jobs. It depends on the sector and stuff like that. If you are in a sector that you know and you know that you can get work in, it's great. The uncertainty of it is one of the most spooky bits. Does one have an office near the wires? I know. I don't work from there, and I've never been in there because I work from home. But I've worked with the people that work in there, and they're really nice. I like them. They're great. Yeah, self-assessment tax is a nightmare, and that is why I get an accountant to do it every April. Purely because, I mean, I guess I probably save a little bit going that way, but I wouldn't dare to touch it myself because it's like, this is complicated and there's lots of rules and regulations. And the more I touch them, the scarier it is. So I let the people that know things deal with that. Do you think we need to sign players to get in starting lineups or get players for subs to step in for injury? I think any signings that we do from this moment onwards need to be at the very least able to push for the first 11. We don't need to be just going, okay, if we get injuries, you can do a job. We need to be going, okay, you will genuinely challenge the other players in this team because that's how you improve as a complete unit. If we do anything permanent, it needs to be someone who can play in the Premier League. If it's a big if. On loan, it'd be a case of high-level Championship player. That's why I wouldn't hate the Ben Godfrey conversation. Well, I wouldn't like it, but that's the difference between a Godfrey and an Elvedi. Godfrey I would take on loan because that means that we wouldn't be tied to him for next season. Elvedi I think is good enough for us to use next season, so I wouldn't mind us buying him. Kind of like see a Leeds Super Channel, kind of like AFTV with less drama. I think a Super Channel in itself leads to a bit of drama, you know? Like if it's just multiple people making stuff for the same channel and doing their own thing, and then I don't know, it feels messy. So I wouldn't say that that's what that is because I think that is still firmly Joe's channel. I think if you make it like a big organizational channel, you would need someone that is clever and knows what they're doing at the helm and would be able to diffuse said drama before drama devolves into drama because we know what drama happens. When it escalates. But that's fine. I think of all the sort of like YouTube spaces, I'm so happy that we don't have drama in the Leeds one. I'm so happy that everyone is just kind of nice and welcoming and kind. It's just so good. Yeah, like Joe's great. Like Joe is one of my favorite people on Leeds YouTube. On that note, I'm going to do a little bit of shilling, and it's not for me right now. It's a genuine request of you guys for tomorrow. So, favorite Leeds champ, not including marching together. I like Furpose. Really like Furpose. Furpose is fantastic. But I'm gonna put a link in the chat in a second. If I have a moderator, please, can you see if you can pin it? I'm going to say, watch this tomorrow. Bosh. Okay. Over there is where Joe is doing a stream tomorrow. It's over on a new platform. It's not YouTube. It's not Twitch. It's just a new thing that is designed for sports streaming and stuff. I'm also signed on to stream over there at some point. I don't know what that point is. But I'll be completely honest with you. Odds are I won't earn anything when I stream over there, because I know what the lines are for being able to eligibly earn stuff and things like that. However, someone that is likely to be able to do that is Jer, because I know what the required viewers are and stuff like that. I don't know how many viewers Jer gets, but if you are able to, if you are going to be watching Joe anyway, I implore you to, on a second tab, just whack Jers on. Even if you have it on mute, even if you mute the tab, pop it on, because that would be genuinely helpful for him and for the platform as a whole to continue to grow. Because if we are able to show, look, Leeds stuff is good on here, then that just helps everyone in the space. So I'm going to do a quick poll. So I'm going to do that to do a little pluggy. And there we go. And as a further thing, I think I may be hopping on at points as well. So that'd be quite nice to do. So if anyone is just at home, not watching the match itself in person at Elland Road, just whack it on a spare tab, and it'll be genuinely really good. It's a good time. I was over on his second most recent one, and genuinely good stuff. A thought for discussion. Is Aronson a double-edged sword? He's been great, but because he can only play one position, does it keep Leeds from being tactically flexible? He can play on the wings as well. I think the issue with that is more we don't have a second 10. So he's the only one that can be the 10. I think that's where the inflexibility is. It's not a him thing. It's a squad thing, because we don't really have any other number 10s. Don't hugely like it, because I don't... How do I phrase this? I think any football fans that are doing chants about ongoing conflicts in which people are actively still dying is horribly distasteful, and I absolutely wouldn't touch that. It's not good. And this is a case of there are still people dying on both sides of the conflict. The correct take on this is that the only good people in this situation are the civilians that are just trying to survive. Dickheads on both sides. Let's not sing about it and pick sides because we have a player from one of the sides involved. Silly song. Don't do it. Yeah, it's great. Genuinely, it's a very different vibe to other watch-alongs, and it's not sort of... It's more conversational. I kind of like that. Yeah, in general, it is a tragedy chant. Don't do it. That's it. I like the logic of the blackout, but I think it's logic from the 20th century, and we're currently in a 21st century world. I don't think the itchy fucking eyeball. I don't think the 3 p.m. blackout is at all fit for purpose in a world that has streaming. That's basically it. I would back televising them, and that is not just because in the last round of negotiations, DAZN were like, we could just televise all the matches as part of their bid. It genuinely unrelated, but yeah, this is it. Like, we're in a world of streaming and a world in which piracy is easier than ever. Just televise it. In the same way that, like, when the conversation around like drug legalization comes up, people are doing it anyway. It's easy, and you're barely policing it. Lean into it. It's fine. Yeah, it's the last bit that makes it a tragedy, champ. That's it. Trying to do with TV blackouts in the US. Have they got TV blackouts in the US? It's not a question of crowds at the likes of Elland Road. It's a question of like non-league crowds. But at the same time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my work account and quickly show you something. Yeah, it's like it's for the health of the football pyramid and all that sort of stuff. Give me a moment, because for some reason things are loading really slowly right now. I'm like 90% sure it's because I need to do a little bit of a PC upgrade very soon. But that's fine, because I've got the parts coming tomorrow. Let's find it. Okay, let's share my screen, but I'm not going to share it yet, unless it decides to share itself. Of course it does. Thank you. I believe matches will go to a Netflix subscription. I think it's not a bad shout. It's very, very likely that it'll be some form of streaming service. But the whole "it's for the health of the pyramid" shout is a little bit complex. York City sold out on Newsday with Leeds on TV. Yeah, that's the thing. It's very, very clearly not affecting a lot. And at the same time, is there much non-league on tomorrow? Or have I confused something here? I think there should be. I'm so excited. Genuinely pumped. Like, the Royal Rumble is going to be so watchable now. This is where I was going with it. This is where I was trying to take it, but it looks like, because I've got my account set to Japan at the minute for various work reasons, looks like I'm not able to load that properly. But the general gist is we've got like all of the National League games being shown. Just to warn you, it's doing the ads thing again. Click on it, swipe back, you'll be back as soon as possible. You know the drill by now. But it's like, if it's to protect the pyramid, why is the pyramid getting televised? Because you have to be in the ground to watch it at this point, and it's probably cheaper to pay whatever it is per month to stream it. I don't know, I'll be honest with you. There we go. On the 11th of January, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 National League games being televised. Not televised, broadcast, because it's not technically on TV. But you know what I mean. It doesn't. If it affected the pyramid, you would stop that being broadcast. But I don't know. I'm very much looking forward to that. And I've got a little bit of a theory that, because we know that there's Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns having a match, my little bit of a theory is that we're going to get interference from The Rock in that one. Because if that's going to be the opener, that's going to grab the casual viewer like tight and just hold on to people. Very pumped for that. When he is winning the Rumble, you might be looking forward to it. Who's supposedly winning the Rumble? Because I've seen what a rumored WrestleMania match is. I'm very excited for it because it could be good stuff. But I don't know who you've seen, because I've seen a couple of different leaks. Because I think we're at the stage of the year where WWE's putting out fake leaks to be like, oh, is it this person? Is it this person? And then when there is an actual leak, everyone's like, well, I don't trust it because it's a lot of bollocks. Yeah, there's a lot of fake leak. I've heard similar, but that might be the fake leak. I think it kind of lines up with what I've been seeing theorized as a WrestleMania match, but I don't want to spoil anything in case it is true. No, fuck it, because it's only a theory. The way that I've seen it rumored is Cena wins the Rumble. No idea what happens at Elimination Chamber. But it's Cena and Cody at WrestleMania. Cena wins the record title at Mania. And then goes through the year and loses it to someone at Survivor Series. And that's where he retires. Because I think he'll go out on his back handing the title to someone that is up and coming. I think Bron Breakker would be really good for that, actually. I like it. Cena wins the title off Rhodes, eventually drops it to Braun in like an open challenge kind of thing. That would be fun. Oh, he'd never do that. He'd never blow just one quad. He'd do two of them at the same time. Now, Vince. He'd be funny if he wasn't such a menace. And that's not a menace in a fun way, by the way. That is menace in criminal in many varieties way. That is, would not enjoy a conversation with Vince McMahon, to be honest, because he seems like a bad human being. I'd rather Cody Punk. I think the difference is Cody Punk can happen at any point. But whereas Cena's got 1 year left. That's the difference for me. Not sure what you're talking about. It sounds scripted. No. It's not real. Oh, I'm devastated. How? How would they do? That's going to be a biggie. Punk Reigns. But that feels like SummerSlam more than anything. That one I think is sitting on the back burner for a while. So they can keep alluding to it with the Heyman stuff. But yeah, I think we're genuinely approaching like a golden age of like decent storytelling in WWE at the minute. That's fair enough. I shall talk to you soon, Brian. Yeah, I think he breaks Flair's record. I think he's earned it. Let's be honest. Anyway, we've gone very off topic, and I've gone for about an hour, which is, you know what, that's a decent run stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this boyo up in a minute. I need to take that and then seal this boy. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed the stream. If you did, please pop a like on it. That's really appreciated. Helps me out genuinely more than you know. Subscribe if you're not yet. That's also really appreciated. You could even become a channel member. It's 99p for a month. You get a bunch of videos and stuff early, and is as cheap as I can make it. Considering putting that up a little bit just for the sake of YouTube is a nightmare. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you later. Toodaloo gang.